So once again, we'd like to thank you so much for joining us. It's a great pleasure and a true privilege to be here with you. And on behalf of this Smiley group, we are very grateful for the huge generosity, for sharing your precious time with us. And we are above all thrilled to be here with you. We are really thrilled. We know that you receive many invitations, Kristi, and this only makes us even more grateful for this opportunity of having this conversation with you. And this, Kristi, is a group composed by business and thought leaders of many of Brazil's leading companies and institutions. And under this leadership program, we debate critical issues every month, not only about the professional life, but also about life from a broader perspective. And on top of that, we have these special sessions with inspiring human beings like yourself, who are our guides to think better about these subjects and, of course, to act accordingly. And for the sake of starting this event in a more formal way, folks, I would like to highlight to all participants that Kristi Nelson is the author of this wonderful book, Wake Up Grateful: The Transformative Practice of Taking Nothing for Granted. She is the ambassador and former executive director of Grateful Living, which is an organization with a mission of empowering people to live meaningful lives through the transformative practice of grateful living. Kristi Life's work in the nonprofit sector has focused on leading, inspiring, and strengthening organizations committed to progressive social and spiritual change. And being a long-time stage 4 cancer survivor moves her every day to support others and living and loving with great fullness of heart. So, Kristi, without further ado, and based on our previous exchange, perhaps we could start off with some of your thoughts, and please feel free. And after your introduction, perhaps I can ask some questions to start off our conversation, and then move forward the other members of our group to also ask their questions. And I also welcome everyone for being here, and I'm very grateful for everyone for being here. Thank you, Kristi, once again.
I'm so honored. I love being with socially conscious, values-driven business people. And, I come from the nonprofit sector, so I feel a lot of alignment with what your virtuous mission, and I just love right out front, let's name the virtues. And I think this, so I look around, I feel super honored for the invitation, and it's been on my calendar for so many months. Alexandre, I think I committed to this so many months ago, and I thought, oh, it will never be October. It's going to be so far away. But here we are. I'd like to just take maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, 2 or 3. I always have to be honest. Nothing happens in 1 minute. And just maybe ask you to close your eyes with me. Or if you're uncomfortable closing your eyes, I'm just going to guide us in an arriving kind of meditation into this space. And I like to start all of my meetings with very short meditation, just so that we're all here in the same spirit, in the same commitment, in the same sharing awareness. So I love to close my eyes and put my hands on my heart. You can do anything you'd like. But I just want to acknowledge my appreciation for all of what it took for you to be here today, for what it takes all of us to show up into any space, into any moment fully, what that requires of us, what it asks, and just to acknowledge how much commitment there is in your being present here right now. So maybe take a moment and just notice your heart beating and your breath breathing itself. This beautiful breath that is your life force, about 1,000 times an hour, breathes you alive every single hour of your life. And we start by noticing something as simple as the breath, because it is anything but simple. And when we anchor our awareness in the things that the ordinary things, the routine things that we often take for granted, it puts us in that spirit of remembering how much is working in favor of life for us at all times. So thank you for being here. I'm going to open my eyes. I love looking out at you. Look at how beautiful you are. If that's all we do today, I feel like sometimes it feels like just to show up fully and acknowledge it fully is really, it's about 9/10 of the job, you know? So I spoke to Alexandre about just starting with a few comments, and I want to just talk a little bit about some things that are most up for me, most kind of currently on my mind. I'm preparing to go lead a workshop, leaving tomorrow for 60 people. It's a day-long workshop. And then the next morning I'm doing a little in-service. And I have just written this piece, which feels so important. And so I'll start with these thoughts that are very fresh in my mind, which is there's this question, which is, what if you woke up tomorrow with only the things you were grateful for yesterday? What would you wake up with? And what might you be missing? These are really important questions. You know, the things that I'm obsessed with this idea of how much we take for granted in life. And I think it is the powerful practice of every single moment coming present, being really here right now, is to heighten our awareness of how much there is that is serving our life, serving life as a whole in every single moment, not as an antidote or a way of bypassing or replacing what's difficult, but to allow ourselves to also focus at the same time. It's a both and proposition of how much is in service of life in all moments and how much is extraordinary in all moments. The ability to breathe, if we start here, just with the ability to breathe, is so incredible what it takes for us to breathe. What we are operating on top of without awareness of so much of the time is so amazing. To me, it keeps me awestruck and it makes me gobsmacked, like it blows my mind how much the body is doing in every moment just to keep us here. And it's heightened for me by having almost died. So I can say that for me at 32, facing a cancer that was very serious and I didn't expect to survive, and then getting to be here every day, I recognize that every day is really an unpromised kind of miraculous proposition, actually. And I don't mean that in a woo-woo spiritual way. I mean that in a real way. What it took to keep me alive, what it takes for all of us to be here right now, it's worth being really touched by and moved by. And when we miss this opportunity of gathering together, of the blessings of technology, of our bodies, everything, then we miss so much of where we can find connection with each other. So this question of what if you woke up tomorrow with only the things you were grateful for yesterday brings alive for me just, okay, I want to really take today, because we're given today. Today is the day between yesterday and tomorrow. What can we do today to bring into our awareness all the things that we can really actually appreciate? Because when we appreciate the things that we have, they come to life. They thrive much more. You can look at almost anything in life and say, when I give it my appreciative attention, what happens to the things in my life? What happens to my car? What happens to my relationships? What happens to my house plants? What happens to, the places where I am, to my mind, to my body? So we start with this appreciative attention and try to bring it to everything today that we can be grateful for. And I say, if you walk around your life right now, today, if you look around this screen, and just feel in your heart and even say under your breath or out loud, thank you. Thank you. It's one of the most powerful practices you can do in your whole life. It is transformative. I guarantee you, if you walk around through your life and say thank you to all the things and people worthy of your thanks, it will change your life and it will change other people's lives. It also has the power to change the world. Then we think about the ripples of impact that we have. So I leave us with this thought because I think it's extremely powerful. And Thich Nhat Hanh, who is, I don't know if you know him, but a beautiful, beautiful monk and a very important voice in the world, who still is with us in his legacy and his words. He says that there's this state of being which is no toothache. And I love that because no toothache is that we have no toothache right now. And we pay a lot of attention when we have a toothache. I have a toothache, I have a toothache, I have a toothache, I have a toothache. What happens to all the times when we don't have a toothache? Where is our appreciation for the fact that we don't have a toothache? That the things that we can do in our lives, the ways that our bodies do work, we forget things, but what about all the things we remember? You know, can we start casting our attention towards the things that are functioning in our favor and functioning in service of life? And I really do think, like, sometimes I walk around, it's like, oh my God, our refrigerator broke yesterday. We need a new refrigerator. What a privilege that I had a refrigerator to start with, you know, and it's like all the days that I went to the refrigerator, opened it and closed it and never really said, thank you, refrigerator. And then today I'm so mad at the refrigerator because it's not working. This is real life story. And then I think, oh yeah, stop it. You've been taking this for granted. Can you really be present and appreciate the fact that this is a privilege? It's a privilege. So I'll leave us with a little quote that is very powerful by a man named Marlon Rico Lee. And he says, simply be grateful for the things and people in your life. Everything you take for granted, someone else is praying for. Everything. And I say the use of your hands, your ability to breathe without an oxygen tank attached to you right now. The ability to sit here, the ability to have technology. So when we lift up in our awareness all the things that really beg for our appreciation and attention that we might routinely take for granted, we can really live in a state of what I call gratefulness, which is really gratitude for life. It's gratitude for life in both senses of the word, that you can be grateful for the ability to be here and be alive. And also that gratitude in this way is sustainable. It's actually something that can last. It's not just you need everything to go right in order to feel grateful, but you can actually extend your gratitude to the very end of your life in a much more unconditional way. And when we can be unconditional in our gratitude, in our joy, in our sense of peace, in our equanimity, when we can be unconditional, we are guaranteed a much deeper, more sustainable state of well-being. And our impact on other people and our own lives and the world is going to be much more virtuous. So let me end with that beautiful word that seems to connect all of you. I hope that speaks to some of you at least. You know, it's just lovely to get to be with you. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, Kristi. It's wonderful. We're very thankful and for being here with you. And before moving to some questions about this beautiful book, perhaps we could talk a little bit more about your life story and the learnings that you had, because you had, of course, this pivotal moment in your life when you were diagnosed. And so how did you face your own mortality, and how did it change you before and after? And not only in your approach to gratefulness, but to aspects of life, such as, relationships, work,
Mhm.
personal fulfillment. And so what were the most, I would say, most significant internal shifts you experienced? And I would say the unexpected lessons or insights you've encountered on this path as you transitioned in
Mhm.
these past decades?
Thank you. I would say the big insight or revelation is that nothing is guaranteed, and that every day that I had gone into at 32 years old, I think most people at 32, we live as though there's a big long future that's rolled out like a carpet in front of us that we're going to get to navigate for a long time, and that there's a long time to be able to make our wishes come true, our impact felt, our relationships where people know that we love them. It's like, oh, I've got more time. I've got more time. But what if we really relieve ourselves of that illusion? That it's actually, what if we don't? And what if it can serve life? Not to think like, oh, I might die tomorrow and walk around with a morbid sense of mortality, but just what if I really made today count as though it is all I have, as though it is the most important day because it's here today. And there are so many people in life who do not get to wake up today who thought that they would. And that is for me, like I just, if you allow me to cry, that there are people all over the world right now for so many reasons who thought they would be here today, who thought they would have a day or many more days to make their impact felt, their love known, their lives matter, to fulfill their dreams and wishes. And I try to live my life in honor of those people because I get a day that they would have given anything to have. So what if we chose to live that way, in a way that is empowering and enlivening and really brings us into intimate connection with what matters most to me? What matters most to me? And we're really lucky if we have work that matters to us. I'm just going to assume that for all of us here, we do work that matters to us. That's so beautiful. And what else matters to us that we want to make sure that we really live into and that we prioritize? And so that was the biggest lesson for me is, I'm not going to say that I wouldn't want more time. If today was my last day on earth, oh my gosh, I love life. I hope I get a lot more time. But I try not to live taking that for granted. So it means I am actually really challenging to be around because I hug way too long. I tell people way too many times how much I love them. Like if you're my friend or in my family, you don't wonder. And that's wonderful. And it also overwhelms people so much of the time. But I'm willing to be intense for that reason. I'm willing to be that much in love with life and other people that I let it show and I let it count and I let it impact me. And I walk around with my heart on my sleeve. I'm super committed to being authentic. And so, oh, those are just some of the things, and that means it shows up in my work. I mean, I just have left a job that I was in for 10 years. I absolutely loved my job. And there was no one I worked with who didn't know how much I appreciated, treasured, valued them. I mean, not a day. People would say sometimes, geez, if I put a stamp on an envelope and it's, the stamp actually gets on the envelope and the piece of mail goes into the mailbox. Kristi's so grateful. Well, it's true. I don't take it for granted that when I ask you to do something, it's going to get done. And I appreciate it so much when I have someone who will work with me and partner with me and be a thought partner with me. Like, life is just extraordinary. And every single moment that we get to be here is amazing. And there are a lot of people who would have loved to be here today who are not. And can we live in honor of that? And to do that well is to be in love with life, not to walk around feeling guilty or sad, so bereaved and beleaguered and besieged by grief, because I am that. I've lost so many people I love. And yet, how can I live with joy in honor of the people who would have given anything for this day?
Thank you, Kristi. You transmit that, it's very powerful. So I don't know very much what to say. I'm just going to hand over to Angela, who also coordinates this program with me. And I'm glad that I have her to hand over.
She's also she's crying.
Yeah, I'm crying. Since the beginning.
It's a good meeting when a lot of people cry for the good reasons. Yeah.
Well, we like it too. I just wanted to share that it took me 7 years to transform this guilt into honoring and into intensity and authenticity, because the guilt is very, very hard. And it would be a coincidence, but I don't believe in coincidences. That this ring here, it was a gift from my brother who had multiple myeloma, that Dr. Pimenta knows about, and it's similar, a little bit similar than the lymphoma, and he passed away in 2018. And since then, I'm struggling with this guilt, but I'm also learning a lot about transforming this pain and guilt into honoring every second. And it's a hard work. I wanted to ask you about this exercise that you mentioned about your fridge, for instance, because the first thing that we have, the fridge, I'll have to buy another one, etc. But when you practice more, it gets easier, or or it is as difficult as one day after another. Tell me more about this. If we get accustomed to, and it gets easier to be grateful every day.
I like to call it, well, for me, and thank you so much, Angela. I just want to just bow to you for your vulnerability and sharing your story. And okay, I'm going to figure out which one to do. I'll answer your question, and then I have a comment, an idea, a practice that I think is powerful.
Yeah, do what you think it's best.
So I like to call maintaining perspective, cultivating perspective, which is what I think a lot of us are longing to do, is to keep perspective, which is we get lost, and our aperture and our lens gets small, or sometimes it gets way too wide, and we kind of lose perspective either way. And I like to think of perspective as a spiritual muscle. It's a spiritual muscle that we have to strengthen, and it doesn't come so easily unless you really set your life up to, if you don't move your muscles, what happens to them? If you don't take your muscles for a walk or take them to the gym, which I don't like to do, but if I take mine for a walk every day. That's what I prefer to do. And if you don't take your muscles for a walk and use them and exercise them and develop them, then they get flaccid. And the same thing is true about perspective. We have to keep enriching our sense of perspective. And that it has to be inclusive. We have to bring in a lot of truths in order to remember what else is true besides our little reality. We have to be willing to feel that much, to include that much, to consider that much. And so that spiritual musculature of perspective is something that we can develop and strengthen every single moment of every single day if we choose. And it is about redirecting our attention. Sometimes it is about, oh, I notice I'm not having a toothache. Oh, look at this water coming out of the tap that is warm right now. We've just had a huge hurricane. People are homeless, in the United States, all over the South. It's like, can I be aware of what is working in my life, including, and first thing, when I wake up in the morning, I wake up and I say, holy moly, I'm awake again. I can't believe, like, if you wake up and you say, instead of, oh, just this is another day, you don't even say it's another day. You just get up and you go through your day as if it's like promised or something, as if it's just not a miracle in some way. So it's like I try to get up in the morning and I'm able to get my feet out of bed. I'm able to get my feet on the floor. I'm able to take a breath. I'm able to open my eyes. I have friends who are blind. I have friends who can't hear. I have friends who can only live on oxygen. So for me, this is, again, this way, as you say, of honoring. It is a spiritual muscle to go through life cognizant of what we have, the privileges that we have in our lives, of the things that are working, the things we can be grateful for. And how do we serve life? By overriding that, by forgetting that, by feeling guilty about that? That's a question. I think sometimes we think that we serve life because we feel guilty and we feel bad for what we do have. And I teach a very intense workshop called Aging Gratefully. And it is that aging is a privilege, right? So that every day that we get to age is a privilege. And I don't know about Brazil, but in our country, there's a big anti-aging movement that wants you to buy every cream and everything and books and all this stuff that's like, you don't have to get older. Yeah. You're going to live forever if you want. So Aging Gratefully, in this workshop, I ask people to do a very powerful and cathartic exercise or practice, which is, and Angela, I'm just going to, I hope it's okay if I reference you in your story about your brother. And when we have someone who we love, who died too young, who died, my mom did, who died before their time, someone who we love who died before their time. Can we imagine? I ask people to imagine, really do a deep meditation and go into that person and imagine what that person right now, in their most unembodied state, in the state where they are everywhere, they are egoless, they're free of that. What would they say to you about the fact of this day? What would your brother say?
That it's a miracle.
That it's a miracle. And so when we live our lives in this state as though there is like a grand piano on our head and we're walking around like under the weight of the world, we think that we're honoring the people that we love when we walk around feeling besieged by life and sometimes resentful of the privilege of being alive, when someone we love is not. And yet that's not what the people we love would want. And so I think it's important to ask ourselves that question. How would someone greet this day who wanted to be here today, who would have given anything for this day? And can we go into our day that way? Can we hold our lives that way? Are we willing? So it's a big question. It's a heavy one, but you brought it up, my dear, with these beautiful tears and the story of loss, which is so resonant for so many people. But it is true about our work. Can we go into our work that way? Can your leaders, I was a nonprofit leader, can we really say to the people who show up for our work, who show up to work with us, who show up to work for us maybe, thank you for the gift of your time. Thank you for the gift of this day, for showing up into this work that we share. That I don't take it for granted that you choose to be here because it's a choice. to be in this work with us all together now? Can we help people connect with that spiritual musculature of perspective as leaders? Yes, we can. And it's about how we start with ourselves first, but we can really help people extend to themselves that sense of the privilege of getting to do the work that they do and the privilege of showing up into every day.
Thank you very much, Kristi. It's so beautiful, wonderful. I'm going to hand over to Rodolfo and Julia, but before, can we please take a photo, a picture of this moment just for us to register this special occasion? Angela, let's take a picture, everyone.
Yes. Let me see if Rosina G and Laura. No, I don't think they will show up. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Good.
I wondered how you got such beautiful pictures on all of your, I was like, you have these beautiful still images of your Zoom sessions. Not many people, usually people are looking here and down and everything. Nice job. Ask for what you want.
Yeah.
Make it work.
Thank you. Rodolfo, please.
Kristi, thank
Yes.
you very, very much for your time to be here and
Thank
share
you.
with your experience and knowledge among all of us. And a question that I have, I use the ChatGPT to get a very good summary of your book and your tips and all your experience. And one thing that I start to think about is when you need to wake up in the morning, of course, following all your tips in terms of analyze your day. Of course, at the end of the day, you need to slow down. Yes, you need to take the time to dedicate to yourself and the environment that are around you. And I love that. Yes. When you be in some place, you should be there. Yes. Not thinking about
Present. Yes.
Yes, present. And the moment or the world that we live in, yes, we are doing a lot of things at the same time. That means we need to reduce in some way our activities and focus more deeply on what we do, basically, I guess. Yes. And because I was looking my day, like today and tomorrow, and see all the tasks and activities and meetings that I put myself in. It's crazy. Yes. Yeah. And the amount of activity that we push ourselves, is our decision to be in. Yes. Nobody else. Yes. And that exercise is so complicated, yes, because there are a lot of things that we love to do, and the time is so short in some sense, yes.
Yes.
And how you, maybe I even know the answer, but I would like to hear from you, your experience, how you really slow down your mind, yourself.
It's such an important question. I would imagine it is for everybody, you know, and I was just laughing with you, Rodolfo, because I have this list next to my right here, you know, it's like this notebook full of this gigantic list of things that have to be done today. And one is to look at each one as an extraordinary opportunity, right? So it's like as opposed to feeling beleaguered by the things that we have to do. That word beleaguered is a great word. Like it's kind of like weighted down in that way, right? Instead of looking at that beleaguered, it's like, wow, look at what I get to do. Can I really look at that as a way? Oh my God, I love your cat. And also just to recognize that when we are fully present anywhere, it gives us an experience that is so powerful as a touchstone, as a reference point to carry throughout our time, as a standard, right? So as a way to aspire to, like, I only want to be here now. I don't want to be all the other places I have to be with all the other things I have to do. And when I am fully present to what is in front of me and what needs to be done, I get so much more out of it. And the people I'm with get so much more out of it. So for me, resisting the temptation to think of what isn't yet done and what needs to be done, and just be here with what is being called, what I'm called to do, is just really important. So I think that's the singular focus. But I also think that slowing down for me, I meditated before this call, 2 minutes. I will get off this call, and instead of running to do the next thing, I'm going to sit and absorb this call. 2 minutes, 1 minute. Take a couple of deep breaths. Really feel because here's the thing. I feel a lot of things in this call right now. I'm learning things. I'm seeing faces that are so beautiful. I don't want to forget these things. I don't want to dishonor them by running away from what this is to the next thing before fully kind of in some ways integrating what this is. It's a powerful way. So again, I said, I've run a variety of organizations as a leader. I always start with meditation, always. And I love to also end with, let's just take a moment and just absorb the insights that came from this time together. What did you learn? Can you notice something new? What's a new awareness, new whatever? So just, I think, asking ourselves those questions, it's going to be really complicated in any of our lives, unless we're monks living in a hermitage or a monastic living in some kind of thing. We live in these worlds that are very demanding, and yet we get to choose how we relate to those demands in a way that serves us and serves the people we're around and serves what we have to do. When I have focused attention, I do what I do way better. I'm wholeheartedly here. And sometimes I have to ask myself, honestly, am I willing to stop doing something when I'm not fully there? Am I willing to cancel something, a meeting in my day? Am I willing to not get something done that's on my list if I know I can't be wholeheartedly present and I'm about to? So I canceled a meeting right after this because I knew that it was going to make my day. I put it off till next Thursday. So I knew it was going to make my day really crazy. And I was willing to disappoint somebody else to make this day more meaningful, to make myself more present and more manageable for everything I have today. So I think those are good questions. Those are some thoughts. I hope it helps.
Wow, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Kristi. And Julia, please.
Hi, Kristi. Thank you for your time,
Hi, Julia.
kind words, and so valuable thoughts. I've been realizing that I am in this path for living the present. And I can see that when you do that, this is a long path and gradual path. When you do that, you enjoy the moments, as you said. You enjoy each moment. And another thing, I'm at this moment that I'm building my new occupation, building occupations related to the master I'm attending. And so I'm building a lot of new things in my life. Mm-hmm. And I'm enjoying the process. Mm. I don't know where I'm going to be, what I'm going to do, but the process is amazing. And my impression is that when you enjoy the process, everything we get during the path, and I'm getting so many wonderful things, connections and answers, maybe. It's like liberating. It's like you free your creativity, and you do better than if you are, I need that, and I'm going to do that. You do have an idea where you want to go and how, or like a sort of planning. But if you free some relevant part of that, it's wonderful. You can achieve more, much more.
Totally. Well, you should have your own workshop session here again. But you know, that is absolutely the truth. Julia, thank you so much. Would you like me to comment on that? Or did you have a question in specific that you would like to ask? Or I'm happy just to say how amazing I think you are and how bright, beautiful.
Well, maybe the idea was to see if you agree with that, because
yeah.
I am realizing the past few days.
Yeah. So when I first came out of this cancer experience, I was 33 years old. And all my friends were making families, buying homes, going into careers, going to do degrees, advanced degree programs and things. And I had to really reckon with this idea of, well, what do I do with my moments now if they're not all for a future that I don't know I'm going to have necessarily. And so my standard got very high, for I want to enjoy whatever I do. If I'm going to go get a graduate degree, I'm going to make sure that it's not just towards an end, but it's for every moment that I'm in the program. And if I'm going to be in a relationship, it's not because I have some idea about a committed partnership I want to have down the road. It's like, can I enjoy the whole thing of it, the journey? And somebody just wrote, it's the journey, not the destination. Yeah. And if you treat everything like it is, like it really matters and it really counts, and what's here right now this is it. This is so amazing. And yes, what you're saying is so true, which is I think we unleash so much more of ourselves when we do it that way. So what I do sometimes is I ask myself, am I enjoying this process right now? Like, because I'm actually taking a pottery class for the first time in so long. This is like so real. So here's a real life example. Last night I went to a pottery class, ceramics, clay, and I'm doing something with clay and I'm doing it on the wheel and the wheel's going really fast. And I'm just making terrible things. They are just falling apart. Nothing is working. And I'm getting so frustrated. And then I had to sit and I laughed at myself. I said to myself, I'm paying for a creativity class where being creative and like learning from the experience is what you're supposed to do. And all I want is to get like one good looking mug or something, or a bowl out of it. Nothing is working. And I'm getting so frustrated. And I think to myself, what happened to your commitment to creativity as itself, an end in itself, as joy, And so it's very easy to get caught up in it, Julia. That's what I want to say, to get caught up in those ends. And every time that we can pull ourselves back to the moment and say, am I getting something out of this that is valuable right here and now? Yes, and if not, can I bring myself back to that?
It's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Beautiful. Claudia, please.
Kristi, I'm a ceramist too. Claudia.
Thank you, Kristi. It's been a pleasure being with you. But I am a 10-year breast cancer free.
Congratulations.
I had my cancer when I was 46 with 2 boys, age at that time 11 and 9. And I think the turning point for me was accepting cancer. I never fought cancer, I accepted cancer. But the journey of my recovery and being cancer-free for 10 years, and it's what I always say, that cancer was a gift to me. It truly transformed me. But one core fact that I think, and I would like to hear your perspective, is that we truly transform in life when we face death, when we face that we have a very limited perspective. And I think that this happens in life for people for 2 reasons. Either they lose loved ones, right? Yeah. If they get sick, or as we age, because we know that our path is about to finish. So what interests me on this grateful path that I started as soon as I got out of cancer is how did you face death during your 32 years old, younger than me? And how do you elaborate on your workshops the essence of death, which may be one of our most challenging aspects of human beings? That's my question to you.
Claudia, whoa. Okay, so I feel a little bad, like, are all of your sessions this hopefully it's okay. Don't run away. It's so important. I think, I would say that it's accepting ourselves as impermanent, as mortal beings, that is the transformative part, right? And I think one of the things, so what I called the book Wake Up Grateful, because we get wake up calls in life. Wake up calls can be getting an illness, having a near-death experience, like having a car accident that you survived. Like, how many times do you drive somewhere and you almost go off the road, or it's like those kinds of things are happening all the time, but we don't live our lives awake to that truth that every day is an unpromised thing. And so I try to encourage, because again, that's a spiritual muscle. That's something that we have to work and develop. And I think you mentioned two ways. One is that we face death ourselves, or we lose someone we love. But I think that actually in Eastern religions and Eastern cultures, like in Buddhism, people are raised, the whole ethos and the culture and what they learn is that we are mortal and we are only here for a time, and how not to take that for granted. I think some cultures much more rest in teaching this idea that, like, oh, you've got forever, you can, we'll freeze you and your body can be here forever, and legacy and all this stuff. I think it's like, we are kept out of the power of the present moment by how much our culture teaches us that the future and what we do in the future matters, and like leaving a legacy matters. But maybe there's no better way to leave a legacy but really be awake to how extraordinary life is right now. That's really the gift that we get to give the people around us in our own lives and our work and everything. So I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for saying something. And, I think there are some people who will say that cancer changed my life. They might not say cancer is a gift, but I say cancer and illness are certainly wake-up calls. When we have an acute illness or we have a profound loss, we can choose to be woken up to the importance of life, to the preciousness of life. But it's a choice, because there are a lot of people who go through those kinds of experiences and illnesses and don't allow themselves to be transformed by it. Don't wake up from it, right? Don't live differently and love differently. To me, you've done that. Whether someone else considers their experience a gift or not, it's a profound invitation. It's an invitation and an education for sure, a transformation. But only if we choose for it to be so. Because I know people who said, I'm not going to let cancer change me. I have a friend who said, you just watch, you're going to be just the same as you were before. And I said, no, I'm not. Why would I be exactly the same as I was before after this experience of chemotherapy and radiation and 11 surgeries and not being able to walk for periods of, I was very, very ill. And if I didn't make that meaningful and count for something and change my life and hopefully others' lives because of it, then it would have been a really sad loss of a very difficult experience. So thank you for transmuting your difficult experience into the beautiful presence that you have.
Thank you, Kristi. Thank
you both, Claudia and Kristi,
Please,
and Andrea, please. Beautiful.
Thank you.
So, hello, Kristi.
Hello, Nielsen.
Thank you to be here and sharing with us your life experience. is grateful. For a few years ago, I had the opportunity to learn about the importance of the relational communication, the love, the forgiveness, and also the blessing. And this changed my life. And I think this changed also the life from our relationship. I would like to hear from your experience. What can you share with us about this kind of I can say attitude in our life?
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you had a wake-up call. You know, the important that is a wake-up call too. And that ultimately, I would say that what I realized is that love was all I was going to really be able to leave behind. And anything I did in love, from love, for love, would be my legacy. Not work or writing or something that I thought I should do. You know, I have my ideas about how we create impact and, you know, selfless volunteerism. Yes, all those things, they all matter. But to me, I would say that the big teaching is that love and loving life, loving the moments, loving the bodies that we have, loving the people who are in our lives, being grateful for love, being gentle with love. Oh my God, you know, like just extending love generously. These are the things that make life really worth living. And I think just the most generous, to live with your most generous, kind of wild heart, you know, like just to let that heart just, I say, but keep the doors of your heart banging on their hinges. Don't keep them closed, keep them open, flying in the wind. Like they are, the doors of our hearts should not be closed. That's not what our hearts were built for. So yes, keep going.
Keep going.
And
Okay.
I will say that I talk about living gratefulness as regret prevention. I do believe that if we live into the love that we feel now and into the appreciation that we have now and if we make this day count and make this day matter like it really does, we will have way fewer regrets at the end of our lives. And that, you know, hallelujah, is to me what our lives are calling for from us is live out loud, live your heart out loud.
That's
great. I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have two more questions and there's not very much time, but let's try to do it.
Yes, absolutely. So Andrea, please.
Hello, Marcelo first, and then Andrea.
Okay, sorry.
Marcelo. Okay, go. Hello, Marcelo.
Hello, Kristi. Thank you for your time with us.
You're welcome.
I learned a lot with you. The questions from my colleagues. I received the news that I had a tumor last year on November. Okay. And it was a metastasis from my pancreas to liver and also to my left lung.
Wow.
And this year, 2024, I cannot say that it has been a difficult year, but I classify it as a different year in my life. I had chemotherapy. I'm still on chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and also ablation. And I realized that we are all a part of a huge network. we depend on other people. I had a doctor, obviously. I had a therapy. I had a therapist. I had friends. And it's fantastic how we can share love and other things, and like one giving support to each other. It's fantastic. And I also realized that we can choose the way we look to the world, we look to other people, and we also look to ourselves.
Yes.
I had a daughter, she's 34 years, and I have a son, he's 13. And I always referred to the cancer as in the past, the cancer that I had. I never used the refer to the cancer as it's my cancer or my tumor. I always refer to the past because I really know that I am cured already. I also realized that there are two kinds of realities: the natural realities that we can see with our eyes, and also the spiritual reality. And at the spiritual reality, I am cured already. I had faith on this. I always, it's obviously, I make exams, PET scan, blood exams, and my blood tumor market now in September started after 10 months to mark normal levels. It was so huge and it declined, then increased again, and now it declined definitely, and it's now normal. And when I look at the past, this year especially, I realized that maybe I started to live the best period of my life this year, because the cancer that I had, this experience gave me the opportunity to reorganize my mind, my spirit, my days, my routine. And maybe I am facing the happier period of my life. And I started to write a book in November last year. Now, after receiving the between brackets, bad news. And the name of the book is Divine Metastasis.
Wow.
And it's based on the structure of the book is the following: the spirit leads our minds, and our minds leads our reactions, and also our body health. And I felt in my heart to share this experience with all of you. And also, I learned a lot with you, Kristi. Your experience gave me more and more, I would say, faith in God, that I'm really cured. And this month, I will make another PET scan, and the last PET scans that I had also showed that the tumors, they were reducing. So I'm really happy to be here and to learn with all of you. It was fantastic.
Look who you all are and have in your midst. You are so This is so extraordinary. Marcelo, thank you.
Kristi, that's why the program is called Virtuous Leadership Program.
Obviously.
Virtuous
This is, I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I'm happy to stay on a little longer.
we have some more minutes, Kristi.
Good,
Please,
good.
if you're able.
I'm here. I want to say to Marcelo, I think this idea of it's not my cancer. Cancer doesn't have me. I don't have cancer. And also maybe I'm not in a fight or a battle with cancer. There's different ways to go on this path, you know, and I think for you to consider yourself already spiritually cured, that some part of you is cured, then it's so much easier to go through everything you're going through, because it's all from a place of I am complete as I am. You know, I'm not broken. I'm not flawed. I'm not, you know, my illness doesn't define me. It doesn't take away from me. I have this beautiful big life and acceptance. And I believe that Claudia said it as well about acceptance, I think, is resistance creates suffering. And we all know this, when we resist whatever is so, whatever is true, the more we resist, the more we suffer. And accepting doesn't mean that things are acceptable per se. It's like, but we accept them. And so I congratulate you and your body and your family and your beautiful life, Marcelo. And I hope you keep writing your book. Keep writing your book.
And Marcelo, this was a secret, huh, about the book. It's the first time that you're telling us, huh? So Kristi, he was so happy to be here with you that he shared the idea of the book, that it's something new for us as well.
Well, I wish I was a publisher. I could do something about it. But thank you.
We can publish, Marcelo. We have
good.
at the top.
Yes,
Well,
yes,
these messages are clearly very much needed. So
yes.
thank you so much, Marcelo.
Thank you. And Andrea, please.
Hi, Kristi. Thank you for
Hello.
sharing your ideas with us. I'm not sure if I have a question, but I think that it is reflections to share here. When I was a child, I read the book Poliana, and it makes me very, very happy because it changed my relationship with the world. It was so strange at that moment. But I think I exercised this spiritual muscle, you said. The point, I think, is to put the mind in what we have. So being grateful, I think, is the way for happiness. No? And people suffer a lot nowadays because they look for happiness out of themselves, no? And where the answer is inside us, inside them. No? How do you see it?
Oh, yes. I think we especially in a consumer-based society, you know, when we have this idea that that nothing is enough, we have what I call scarcity consciousness, which is the not enoughness, as opposed to the appreciation consciousness, kind of the sufficiency consciousness. Like, what does it take to make us happy? It's always more and more and more and more and more, and the hamster wheel, and like getting more and more, and we need to earn more money to get more things to make, and meanwhile we're not happy. So I think that what you say is really, really true, is that if we can step off that, out of that hamster wheel of more is better, and can really, that's one of the reasons why gratefulness is so powerful, is because we look at what is already present and already here. And sometimes when we fill our consciousness and our awareness with so much of appreciation for what is already in our lives, we're so busy being grateful for what we already have, we don't need more. Like, honestly, it can keep you very, very busy. You could be busy from the first moment you wake up to the last moment you go to bed at night, being thankful for what you already have, for your body, how it works, for your life, how it works, for everything, for the people. And that is the most beautiful way to honor life. And so, I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's very much, I wrote down Oleana because I'm going to have to see what that book is. I'm very excited about that. But I think that there's something which I would say, which is, if you put water into an insatiable well, a well that will never fill up, that has a hole at the bottom, you can keep filling the well with water, and it's never going to register as enough. It's never going to fill up. It's never going to have. And if you put what you need, if the well holds this, what's so beautiful is this idea of that we fill up the well until it's that perfect fullness. You know how when sometimes if you fill a bowl, if you fill a cup of tea and it's almost like above the lip of the tea, and you call that's like this exquisite sufficiency. It's like exquisitely enough. And usually we just keep pouring. We're like looking over here, like when we were talking about, doing too many things at once. We just keep pouring the tea into the cup and it's running all over the place. But I think that it's such an important question. What is enough? What is enough? And when is it enough? And what do I need? When will I know? Because typically I think we race right past enough, right over it. We have enough, but we just keep going because we're so convinced that we don't have enough and we want more. We need more. We feel it. And we're told that we need that. It's not our fault. We're told that we should want more. We should be more. We should have more. And it's a really painful way to live our lives, as opposed to, I'm instead going to not buy into that conversation. I'm not going to be in that complaint scarcity conversation anymore. I'm going to look at what I have and celebrate what I have and share what I have. Because if you don't appreciate what you already have and register that you have enough, you will never be truly generous.
Oh,
It really rests, like true generosity rests in the recognition of what is already yours and what is more than enough and what begs to be of service in the world that you can share. And that comes from being appreciative of what's already there. So Andrea, thank you so much. I appreciate so much what you're saying. Yes.
and Kristi, we appreciate
you.
very much your generosity, right?
Yes,
Because you
yes.
have been generous with us.
And to
Angela.
be a little bit, some minutes more. And when you were saying about the water and about feeling with someone that is always with more needs, because our society, I'm a ceramist, so
You're a what? A therapist?
No.
ceramist.
It's
I
a
do
pottery.
Ceramicist
Pottery.
or you do
Ceramicist.
pottery. Okay.
Yeah, ceramicist, sorry. And I imagine a human being like a vase.
Yeah.
And if we don't realize the shape of our vase, and when we are totally constructed, we don't know how much is the sufficient, or how much is enough.
It's
So
true.
we keep pouring. So that's what we need, the consciousness and the presence to look at this, what is our vase? What is our really needs? And what is the shape of it? To know and to say, this is enough for me. I don't need more. This is enough, and I'm grateful for it.
That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, I wish I was studying ceramics with you. That would be great. No, my teacher is wonderful, but I think one thing that I would say is I love this idea of and even like this, we each have our unique shape. We each have our unique amount that we can hold. We each have our unique needs. There's not one cookie cutter, this is the vase and this is what you are. It's that our difference is so beautiful. And yet we accept the ideas that we should have this, we should want this, we should be more, like all of that, as opposed to when am I really full up? Like when am I fully of use, when my vessel is of use, has been fully used. And I think that's a very individual question for each one of us to contemplate. And it's a beautiful question. And yeah. And also, I think it's very important also to say that there's a big difference between what we think we need, what we feel we need, when we compare ourselves to what we see other people need, and basic needs being met, right? So there are basic needs that really we do have as human beings. And those needs being met, we are not spiritually bypassing that conversation. We're saying that it's the more than, and Lynn Twist, who is a woman I worked with in California, she wrote a book called The Soul of Money. I was the founding director of the Soul of Money Institute with her. It was a wonderful job. But what she talks about is we have the more than we need. Even the idea of abundance is an interesting concept to question rather than sufficiency or enoughness. Like enoughness and sufficiency might meet that vessel exactly where it is and be enough. But when we're in a quest for abundance, we keep going. We can keep going because abundance is more in some ways. It's like, so we have concepts about abundance that can keep us hostage to these ideas. And what she says is, I think it's a really wonderful concept, that abundance can sometimes just be landfill. It's the what goes in the earth. It's the garbage. It's the more than. If we can't fully appreciate what we already have, why should we have more? If we have enough to meet our basic needs and we can't fully appreciate the more that we have, then more is not going to make it better. And that's the illusion that keeps us running on the treadmill of acquisition and consumption and all those things. But
Kristi, I have no words to thank you enough because this was such an enriching, energizing, insightful conversation. So on behalf of this group, we deeply would like to thank you once again for your generosity, for being with us. And I'm not going to say that this was a once in a lifetime opportunity, as we have the hope, to being with you and to listening and learning from you once again in the future. It was for sure a memorable occasion for everyone. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, also for being here.
Thank
It was
you so
wonderful.
much, Kristi.
I loved it. Thank you for asking me. It's such an honor to have your time and attention and your big, beautiful hearts and smiles on the screen. So thank you for the work you're doing. Carry on. Big blessings.
Thank you for your work too.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Thank you for being. A kiss for you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Be well. Be
Bye-bye.
well.
Bye.
All.
All the best.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye
Stay
bye.
in touch.
Wonderful.
Okay. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.